guys! Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today I'm going to be sharing my BRCA1 story with you guys. So, how I found out about the gene, why I decided to get tested, my family history, all that fun stuff I'm going to be including in today's video. Basically, breast cancer runs really heavy in my family. That's how we found out about the gene. My grandmother had breast cancer twice, and my mom had breast cancer twice, both of which had triple negative, I'm pretty sure, which is pretty common amongst BRCA gene mutation breast cancers. Mom and grandma, since they both had breast cancer, after their first round of breast cancers, decided to get tested, and they both came back positive for BRCA1. If you don't know, you have about a 50-50 chance of passing the gene on to your children. So my mom knew that, and my dad, they both knew that I could have the gene mutation, and they both know that my sister could too, but she's only 13, so she's waiting to get tested until she's at least 18. My mom's first breast cancer was when she was 35, and I was only 5 years old when that happened, so I saw her go through chemo and all that stuff. I kind of knew that because my mom had breast cancer, I could get breast cancer one day, and it actually made the blow of me having the gene mutation a lot easier for me to have known it my whole life, and just accepted it as a fact when I was little versus having the shock of finding out when I was 18 years old. She healed and she was completely better for about 10 more years, and then when I turned 16, it was actually on my 16th birthday, we were on a trip to New York City and she got the call from her doctor that she had it again. It had come back. It was a completely new cancer. She went through chemo and everything again, and she did survive. Yay. But for me being 16, already knowing about the gene, I was like, alright, I want to get tested as soon as I can when I'm 18. I'm ready to know. I don't want to sit around and wait for cancer to appear in my body. I want to be proactive about it. That was my decision. But I grew up knowing that my grandma only had one boob. She got a single mastectomy. I knew my whole life. I remember hanging out with my grandma and playing with her in her bedroom, and I pushed on her boob, I guess. I was 4. I'm pretty sure I was trying to climb up the bed or something and knead her boob or hit her boob, and she was like, oh no, that hurt. You can only do that to the other one because the other one's fake. She never got reconstructed on that side. She was completely flat on one side, so she was only had one boob. So yeah, I grew up around breast cancer and mastectomies and just all that. As soon as I turned 18, I was ready to get tested, and I went to my mom's breast surgeon, the same one that did both of her lumpectomies, when I was 19, and they were happy to check me. They did an ultrasound and everything, and they were like, okay, you're good to go, but let's test you for the gene now that you're old enough to make that decision. So I saw the genetic counselor. All that they did during the test was I spit in a little tube. They sent it off. Personally, went through the same company that my mom went through. Back when she got tested, it was about, I want to say it was right after her first cancer, so it was about 20 years ago now, give or take a few years. It was right at the beginning of the gene testing, and it was very expensive for her. I think she spent between $3,000 to $5,000 to get tested, but it was really important in determining her path of action and if I would have the gene and if her mom had the gene and all those things. So she spent the money, she got tested, it came back positive, and because she came back positive, for me, they only had to search for that one specific mutation. There can be hundreds of different BRCA mutations. My specific mutation might not be the same specific mutation as another person with the BRCA gene mutation. So basically, during the testing, they only had to test for that one specific mutation that my mom had. So it cost a lot less for me. I think it only cost about $200 or $300 for me, and my parents paid for that because I was only 19. I didn't have a job. I was just in college. Nowadays, it's been about 5 years since then, there's 23andMe, which, note, if you do 23andMe, they don't test for all the mutations. My mutation, for example, might not be one of the 3 that they test for. So if you come back with a negative result from 23andMe, you might still have the gene mutation. But there's other things like color.com, or color genomics is what it's called. What are you doing? My cat just bombarded the video, sorry about that. So I remember getting the call that I was positive for the gene. I was driving, so I stopped in my car, and I think they knew that I had a pretty level head about it when I went in to see the genetic counselor, because she knew that my whole life I knew about this gene and I knew that I could have it, and it wasn't really a shock to me, so it didn't really hit me emotionally when they said I was positive. It was kind of like they were reassuring what I already knew, and they were like making it set in stone versus me just wondering. So I wasn't really shocked. I didn't cry or anything. I just was like, well, time to like move forward with the plan I already had in my head, which was to get a prophylactic mastectomy. I went back to the doctor every 6 months to get ultrasounds with my mom's breast surgeon. They would check me, and they recommended I wait until at least 25 to do the surgery. They said 25 for me because my mom had it so young at 35, and they usually recommend about 10 years before your mom or closest relative had it. That's when you start being higher risk, I guess, is kind of how she explained it to me. So she recommended 25, and my plan all along was to wait till 25 at least. But, you know, I went back to New York and I started meeting some breasties. You may follow some of them on Instagram, but I met Paige Previver, I'll link her Instagram below, and Bree, who are both founders of the Breasties. I met them at a force meeting in 2016, maybe 2015. I'm not sure what year it was, but we got pretty close pretty fast, and we hung out a lot. This was before the Breasties, and Paige started introducing us to other Breasties, as you know them now. We would go to things at her house, and Bree and her decided to go off on their own and, you know, develop the Breasties, which I'm so glad exists. It's introduced me to so many people, and it's actually part of the reason that I decided to move forward with my mastectomy, because when I was 19, it was kind of like this thing that I felt like was so far away. I was like, it's like when you're in middle school and you're talking about college and you're like, oh yeah, I'll go to college, but like it's never gonna happen really, like it's so far away, whatever. When I was 19, thinking about my surgery, I was like, it's so far away, like whatever, I'm fine, I have so much time, it's not a big deal. But as 25 started to creep closer, when I turned 23, I started to think, wow, you know, I graduated college, like, this is getting really real, it's getting really close. Do I want to do it at 25? You know, I'm stressed about it, I don't want to lose feeling in my boobs. What if I can't meet a guy who's going to support me in my surgery? How am I going to date after my mastectomy and all this stuff? And one of the breastie meetings is where I actually decided to move forward with it. We were all telling our story, and I think it was the Galentine's Breasties meeting last year is when I just had this epiphany of, you know what, I'm ready. Like, I'm hearing all these strong women talk about their story and how they're ready to move forward with their surgery, and I think I'm ready to do it. And I had already met my current boyfriend, Grant, by then, and he's really supportive. At that breastie meeting, I decided. I was just like, I'm ready for this. So then after that, I started looking for my doctors, and I met with 4 different breast surgeons just to talk about the surgery, figure out who I was comfortable with, and I found my amazing breast surgeon, who I love. I think I met him last year in March, and then I was like, alright, like, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer till my job situation is figured out and I'm kind of more steady in life. And then fast forward to now, a few months later, I'm ready to do it. My surgery date finally got scheduled for March 7th, so I'm finally gonna kick cancer in the butt before it kicks my family in the butt again. Yeah, seeing my mom go through it twice just really made me realize, like, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to let this happen. My grandma got a single mastectomy. My mom hasn't gotten it yet, and I'm choosing to get my mastectomy before cancer can get to me. My doctor said I have about a 90% chance of getting breast cancer in my lifetime, and that's pretty high. I always tell people, you know, if you had a 90% chance of dying in a car crash today, would you get in the car? And 100% of the people I asked that question to have said no, they would not get in that car. That's how I see it. If you had a 90% chance of breast cancer, would you get the surgery to prevent it? I would say yes. Personally, I would say yes. Because that's what I'm doing. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching my BRCA story. If you have any questions, or if you're BRCA1, I'd love to meet you and hear from you. Feel free to comment them below. Don't forget to subscribe to watch my vlog as I go through my surgery in the upcoming months. I'll be sharing all of it, so that's gonna be pretty scary, but I'm excited. Thanks again. Subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.